Hello everybody and welcome back to another Spirit Hunters Infinite Horde run. Today we will be looking at the 3 boss killer weapons. Those boss killer weapons are the arrow, the shadow shuriken, and the bone shot. These 3 weapons are the single best things to kill bosses as of the current patch. There are fixes in place to affect the arrow speed and things like that. I don't know how that will affect its boss killing ability. But we will have to wait and see in a later patch. But as of current, these are your 3 best options, especially for hard mode when they have significantly more health. The rundown for this will be about 1 to 2 minutes in the early game to see how they perform, then 1 to 2 minutes in the middle of the game, and then the boss kill itself, and I will time each kill so we can see how effective they are. From here, we are going to start the run, and with this I will also explain we are using Vivian to keep things all the same, so no weapon has an advantage, be it greater range, greater an extra shot, things along those lines. Bigger is better. Also faster. More cooldown is definitely more good on these things, although you don't need it with how fast they get. A high critical chance, it already has a high critical chance, so it's a little moot there. But we will get into that later. So we will be starting with arrow, and then with each weapon, we will be going with orbital fire, mines, and vines. Those are the only 3 additions that we will have to these weapons, and that is the key. So we're starting with arrow, we're going to move to bone, then we're going to move to shurikens, just to see how different they are. Thankfully, arrow is definitely the easiest to start with. We are starting on Spine Dunes. This has the boss with the highest hit points, 7,800 I believe, and we are going to see how well things fare. So starting off here on Heroic, let's get going and start shooting things with the almighty arrow. The base stats for the arrow have a cooldown of 1.2 seconds, a damage value of 13, as you can see that damage already cropping up. We are going to take some more crit. You just saw the crit rate of 18 damage, and they have a size of 10 to start off with. So these are the initial values that we are looking at. I'm going to start picking up other weapons, even though I do only want to upgrade the arrow. I want to have the other weapons selected, so no other weapons show up, just to interfere with our plans. I'm not saying this may be my second take of things by accidentally spending money, but sometimes things happen that you were not planning for. And look at the arrow already cleaving through things. From here on out, every upgrade ideally will be an arrow until it is maxed. So far, the early game, relatively easy. It's only going to get easier. And thankfully, we did get another arrow upgrade. I want to kill these guys, so let's get some experience from them. I am taking a few hits here and there, but a few hits don't really matter. Again, with the base stats of this weapon, it is easy to kill things, and this is the most important thing. You start getting your cooldown down, and the arrow is just going to shine. Again, this is a maxed level arrow, so there is, plenty of points put into it baseline. The banners are better. And this part is actually going to be rough. We are going to be relying on the orbital fire and the vines to survive the waves. Unfortunately, we can't fire in all directions yet, but with the cooldown, it's starting to get there. It's starting to fire significantly faster, and as you can see, it's already firing almost twice a second. It will get there very soon, and we'll get some more size so we can kill some more things. But this already is getting easier. Ideally, I'd get more cooldown, but more size, more good, for more kills. This will be significantly harder with the other weapons. I am not going to lie. So I am very excited that arrow is the first. The size of the arrow has already increased to a point where it's, you can walk and pretty much kill anything in front of you, which is fantastic. This is also not the easiest map to do this challenge on, strictly because it is the toughest map. But we are hitting the 2-minute mark, so I am going to end this little section here. I'll come back right when I'm in the middle of a run, and you will see the difference in the power of the arrow. Hello everybody, welcome back to the middle of the run, a little bit past the middle. It's at the 9-minute mark. I want to get all the upgrades in that were necessary to show you a few things. The first is damage is at 9, cooldown is at 9, attack size is at 9, and the crit chance is at 5. The thing I want to show off really is this cooldown is at 9. This is actually beyond 0 cooldown, is actually negative 0.15. I do not actually believe the negative changes things, but it's really fun to see. And you're going to see how well this is performing in the middle of the run. As you can see, most of the other weapons are fairly underleveled. That's the point. The goal is to see how well the arrow can stand on its own as a weapon, and then see how well it performs on the boss. Now, my suggestion will be that no, you do not use the arrow as a standalone weapon with just defensives, and no, you don't use the bone as a standalone weapon, or the shuriken. Don't get me wrong, I think of the three, the arrow is the most standalone-iest, if that's a word that I'm adding to the dictionary. Because you are able to do this, you can basically kill everything around you, where the bone and the shuriken are very much directional. Bone being top and bottom, shuriken being a single direction for about 3 seconds. And that's what makes the shuriken kind of dangerous as a standalone weapon. The bow is the easiest, hence why I started with that. I know I'm going to get through the run. I am, fingers crossed, going to get through the other runs. I may have to rely a little bit more on the orbital fire there, but we will see. So everything is dying very easily. Again, if you get surrounded, just a quick little bippity-bop, and everything is going to die. Here is the almighty negative 0.15 seconds being reduced to negative 0.3. That was the key that I wanted to show off. And we can see the other thing I wanted to show off, damage plus 11. It is actually possible for the arrow to go beyond 10 levels in damage. So I will keep leveling this up and see how high it goes by the time I get to the boss, and we will see how things are at the boss. Coming right up, probably now. And we're back again, back at the end of the run, 14 minutes and 30 seconds. Not too bad at all. We got our arrow currently up to level 45. We will be working on that still for the next 30 seconds of the run. But I just wanted to give you a rundown of the current stats of the arrow. The current stats, the cooldown is actually at negative 0.3 as you saw earlier. The damage at 14 is actually 55. At 10, which normally would be max, would be 43, but because this can go over max as of current, it is now at 55. Crit chance is sitting at a healthy 68%, and the size is also a healthy 40. As you will see how big it is, this is a beast of a weapon for all things in its path, and it's just lovely. We're just going to sort of farm here. This is just a farming run. I haven't been actually actively seeking chests or anything like that, just been killing things. My experience is only level 70, one part nature of the weapon, one part lack of perfect clear. We did just hit 58 damage, though. We're going to keep trying to get those damage increases. As you can see, the other weapons not interfering pretty much in the slightest with this weapon. And once we hear the roar, we'll just start there. Let's see. Where is this boss? The boss is there. Down, 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 dead. And we were approximately about 7 seconds, I want to say, from the timer that I had. Unfortunately, the timer does vanish there. We do see the time is 15:18, but the boss also spawns a little bit late, and the timer does include the loot gain. So I'm going to give that about 7 seconds. I did not find it fast enough, probably, so give or take probably 1 to 2 seconds. But 7 seconds for a weapon to kill a boss is pretty damn good. So let's move on over to the bone run. And here we are, about to start our bone run. I just want to give you a quick rundown of the stats of the bone that start off. It is a cooldown at 0.95 seconds. Its damage starts off at 11. The crit rate starts at 23, and the range is 17. Fully upgraded with a full map. Again, we will be doing the Spine Dunes on Heroic to get the high-level boss. And I'm not gonna lie, I am definitely scared for this. I do love the bone at the end. It is probably my favorite boss killer because it is a boss killer that does not get in the way of things. However, that being said, that also means... reroll right off the bat to get something that we want. That also means that by it not getting in the way, it means it is very annoying to get kills with if it is your main weapon. But luckily, we're going straight for Orbital Fire. That will be our backup to get kills. It will be our protection, and that's how we're going to see this run through. Already increasing some range. We're increasing our experience gain thanks to Orbital Fire. It can give us that protection that we need. I do want to increase the size of the fire, but again, building your build can only smooth things out as you will stop getting those options from things that you don't want to see, like this right here. This is not something that we want to see, and I only have a limited amount of rerolls. Let's get our vines, and we now have the same build effectively as we had before. As you can see, when a bone hits, it does explode for roughly half damage, which is nice to see. I'm going to save my rerolls here and get a bit more protection. We will get plenty of levels in the bone later, but the key is to get this protection built up because this level is going to be challenging with this setup. Let's keep our bone damage increasing, as the bones will be the key. I wish we would get cooldown, though. Once the bone cooldown hits a threshold, we will be glorious. You can see those little explosions are now doing 7 damage of the bone, which is fantastic. We need those little explosions to be enough to kill things. Again, they are half damage, so they're only going to get stronger. And that is one of the reasons why when you see the bone, you'll see damage decreases. Thankfully, these mines and this fire are keeping us safe from this wave assault. We will also be getting into these vines when we need to. We did just get a level to push everything away, but let's get in these vines. It is definitely getting scary from these flies. I want to save as much health as possible just because I do not have the most faith in myself to get through this unscathed, primarily focusing all the levels on bones that I can. And those bombers. The bombers are the worst. But thankfully they have been nerfed essentially to the ground from what they once were. They were about twice as fast as the player, and they did 30 damage an explosion. That could hit you from about where they exploded there. That was incredibly hard. Compared to that, they are kittens, so you know what? I can't complain too much. But we are about 2 minutes in. As you can see, we're still surviving. We are going to get some more speed. These guys are going to come up, be a little annoying, but we really haven't gotten into too much danger as long as you dance around, make use of that up and down range, and with the damage increases, the bone explosions will start to kill more and more things, which is the most beautiful aspect of the bone in this scenario. And we are going to take a moment and jump to the middle of the run. Catch you in a second. Jumping into the middle of the run. It's a little bit earlier than the arrow. I wanted to get this boss in there. I realized I should have done that for the arrow, but I'm doing it for the bone. As you can see, very few levels on the auxiliaries. I actually have my speed at 5 just for that protection. Size at 1, tiny bit of damage and tiny bit of number. Very few levels over here, but the bone is nearing maximum bonage. Our crit chance is already at +6, our range is at +7, the cooldown is maxed, which gives us the bone wall, and our damage is already at 10. And again, with max upgrades, that is +3 per level, so we're adding 30. You can see this bone wall up and down. Nothing can survive directly above or below us in the slightest. Let's see where this boss is. He should be somewhere. Hopefully, we will get another bone upgrade, which we did not, of course. And there we go. As you can see, that we'll get some more crit chance. Try and kill this thing a little bit faster, should it show its face. But where, oh, where is it? I'm guessing it's below us if it was not trapped up there. But I could be completely wrong. There it is. It's a bomb cactus. And it was a bomb cactus. As you can see, those crits doing 123 already. It's looking very promising. This was actually significantly easier than I thought. However, I did get Hearty and our little magnet friend right here. He is so cute and helpful. Nothing more to really say right now. Things are just going smooth. We're at about 9.5 minutes. We will gain another level or so, and once we gain a level, I will be showing you the boss in this setup. And as you can see, you just have to guide your way up, and the bone wall just takes care of everything below you. But here's our level. Let's catch up at the boss. And here we are at the last 30 seconds of the bone run. As you can see, we've gotten to level 41, which is fantastic. The stats for our bone are currently negative 0.05 for cooldown. For range, we are at 37 range. For crit, we are at 53% chance. And for damage, we are currently at 41 a hit. Again, crits will triple that amount. So it's doing massive damage. You can already see in the background all the bones for the bone wall. It's looking pretty fantastic. Once we see this boss, I'm going to give it a half a second, start a timer, and we will see how it goes. With this boss in... Oh, look at that. I'm no longer getting things, so I have started to level other things up. Thankfully, because of this setup, I'm not gaining that many levels. But we shall see how it goes. As you can see, anything that is above or below us, instantly destroyed. Not even a question. It is a monster of a murder weapon. With that said, however, for the boss, the time will include if the boss is either to the left or to the right of us, we will have to wait for it to get above or below us. So that does add time. If the boss starts above or below us, it will save time. So it's not a perfect test of every single time your kill may take 5 or 7 seconds or what have you. But let's just see. So it's over here. Timer is running. And let's see. Let's get over here. He's at 7,200. Chunking down, pushing us around, and he's dead. Took about 7 seconds there as well. So we can see massive amounts of damage. Looking fantastic. Let's head on over to the Shuriken run, and then I'll do a breakdown of all three. As you can see, this does say it took about 2 seconds longer. Sometimes the timer just runs. Again, from what I have used the stopwatch on, it's about 7 seconds, so I could be completely wrong. Human error, I don't know. But let's get over to that Shadow Shuriken run. And we're with the Shadow Shuriken. We all know what's going on here. Going with Vivian. Going to the hard map of Spine Dunes. Just a quick rundown of its stats. We have 8 number to start with. We have a cooldown of 5.6. We have a damage of 10. And we have a crit rate of a whopping 38 to start out with. This is a weapon that I am worried about as well with the bones. I'm actually more worried about this weapon now that I think about it, just because it is so random that I can't control it. And it does not retarget all that quickly, so I have to sort of really play around that. Thankfully, we will get our fire very quickly. Hopefully we'll start firing to the right and use this to our advantage, get some more cooldown. I'm going to try and actually level this up faster than the others. Well, I guess I did arrow fairly quickly. But faster than bone compared to unlocking everything, because I want this to be my main killer, if at all possible. Although damage not necessarily needed in the early stages, it will be more so soon enough. But as you can see, the start will be a little bit rough. Again, because of its random targeting, and it picks a direction and just goes with it, you sort of have to... really get in between those enemies incredibly well, right in between them. That's exactly what you're looking for. I am a crack shot with these things. Thankfully, I am going to get this under control. We will start killing them all. Orbital Fire will start killing them all. And we're going to use some rerolls. Could have picked the mines there. I really want to get a number upgrade. Number is your biggest increase. That is the big one. So I'm really hoping to get some number. At this point, I probably should pick up mines and or vines. We are going to get surrounded very quickly, very easily. This does not have any sort of AoE explosion to them. It does not pierce, so we got both. There we go. Now we have some AoE to our name. The Shurikens, without the piercing ability, there's some number. Without an AoE ability, it's very hard to deal with hordes until you level it up quite a bit. We'll get some speed, and we're going to go back to leveling up the Shurikens, using our money on rerolls, should we come to it. And we will take any Shuriken upgrade we can, even if it's not the quote-unquote optimal one we're looking for. This is my last reroll. More damage. Again, that is not quote-unquote optimal for what I am trying to do right now. I want to fire more, faster, stronger, better. But hey, I'll take what I can get. We're approaching the 2-minute mark. As you can see, we've evened out. We've gotten through that phase. We're hitting the, glorious moments of the bomb runners. Can't stress it enough. Can no longer reroll, but the bomb runners are definitely the hardest part of these runs. Again, post-nerf, they are no longer nearly the threat they once were, but they are still quite fast, quite annoying, and without any upgrades, if they're blown up on your orbital fire, well, they're still going to hit you. As you can see, boom, right there, still hit me. So I need to find some health, I need to find some experience, I need to get this show on the road, and boom, there's a beautiful crit upgrade. But from here, we will jump to the middle, where hopefully I have a significantly more Shuriken upgrades, very few of the other upgrades, and we'll see how it goes. Jumping into the midpoint, we can see the Shadow Shuriken. We're getting there, not as high level as I'd like to be, only level 41 with a level 27 Shuriken here. Only 2 speed. I think that has been a bit of a hindrance. A bit more Tanglevine's been coming up on my off levels. But as you can see, we are about to level up again. We're going to get some more cooldown. See the damage reduction, or the damage itself, has been getting up there pretty well. But we just need to fire more faster. You can start to see how it is going. This is significantly harder than any of the other weapons. Just because you do not have a consistent way that is safe. Right now I have been relying heavily, there's the moon mummy, which is fantastic. Hopefully I can get him in the reach of the shurikens, and we should get him here. There we go. When they hit hard. They hit quite well. As you can see, I just got another upgrade for damage for +2, but in reality, it's +6. Their crit rate is almost 100% at this point, so that is fantastic. Every upgrade is essentially triple damage. But, again, I wanted to go to the right. Things are behind me, so it's going to be shooting behind me. You do not have a consistent way to say, I want to move in this direction. It's very much a back and forth, hope things get in line, move up and down as you see fit just to get things going. And I have been using the Sanctuary of the Vines just as a respite. I will say death has been very, very close in this run. Although I will say, in the bone, I was able to get Hearty as well as Chikan Rad, which did help the survivability, although I felt safer there than I do in this, just given the randomness that it seemingly fires. And I do know it is not random, but at times I think one enemy is the closest, and a different one just happens to be the closest. Without any piercing or AoE abilities, it is very difficult to clear through any sets of waves of monsters, so we just sort of have to hope the sheer number of them overwhelms them. And we did not have the sheer number earlier on, that is for sure. So this is the little update. I will get to the boss next. We will see how things go from there. Thankfully there's a shop. Let's get some health and survive from there. But as you can see, I'm about to get surrounded. I will show the surround, just so when one of these tornadoes hits me, they will all explode. But I will stop it after that. Pop! And there they go. Nice and easy, 1 damage tick. Let's get to that boss. Here we are at the end of the run. And I will say this has been fiercely difficult. Unfortunately, we are not at level 40. Some bonuses to that, though, or 41. Some bonuses to that, though. Our crit chance is +6, and I did get the Mandrake pet. That is one thing I did want to express. Because our crit chance goes up by 10 per level, with the Mandrake pet, I actually only need 6 levels of crit chance to get to 103%. If I did not have Mandrake, my crit chance would be at 98%, so it's still pretty high at that point. So if you went to 7, you'd go to 108. And currently, as I have tested at least and not seen, I've not seen super crits if you go above 100% crit chance. So 6 to 7 points is all that you need. Unfortunately, I can't show off the damage situation, but let's go over the final stats as they stand right now. I already did go over the crit chance, which would be 98, and with Mandrake, they are 103. The cooldown reduction brings it down to 3.6 second cooldown, which basically means it instantly fires the second the run is out. The number is currently at 38, so they are firing 38 times in approximately that 3.6 second timer, so about 1 every 0.1 seconds. And then, last but not least, is our damage, which is at 9, which puts them at 28. As you can see, that crit of 84 is triple of 28. One thing I did want to show off, but did not get a chance to, unfortunately, is that the damage of this weapon, as we can see right here, now just hit 30, but all our hits are going to go to 90 instead of 30 because we have that glorious 100% crit rate. The one thing I can't show off, though, is the fact that... I did not actually have a timer going, so we are going to be behind. I am the worst, and that's fine. This is just a video, and the timer is just for me. Thankfully, not too accurate. I'm going to start it for about half a second, and then hit go. So let's start. Let's get going. He is up top, and we are going to see how fast we can chunk him down. Because of the way that it turned... Ooh, will I die here? That is actually a valid concern. Thankfully, there is so much stuff going on here that I think I will be fine. One thing to note is, because you can't target it, you will have that situation. Now, this took me about 20 seconds. 22 even, in fact. Not a great showing, I will admit. If you have other weapons that are clearing the way, this will have an easy way to target the boss. But unfortunately, I did not. This was showcasing the weapon itself. That is one of its sides, is the fact that if you are surrounded, it will pick the closest target. And even if you think it's the closest, it might not be the closest. So let's go over the pros and cons that I feel of each weapon itself. So let's start with the arrow. So the arrow... A big pro of the arrow is the fact that it can be a standalone weapon fairly easily. Once you get some points into it, you can do some movement spam, and this movement spam allows you to clear waves of anything. It has piercing ability, a far shot, and that is great news. That, as well, depending on your run, can be a downside, however. If you are running, say, a cleave build with Vivian, and you want the cleave to be the thing that's killing everything, well then obviously something that has a long range, a wide berth, that can pierce, that is actually causing you more of a hindrance than a help. So that's something to take into consideration. Another nice element of the arrow, though, is that it keeps your front safe. If you're walking in one direction, you will know nothing is going to be in your way. So for the bone, downsides of the bone, it is very, very, very lackluster until you level it up. Extremely lackluster. Also, it only attacks up and down. It is not very effective if you are moving side to side. Again, for me, that is its biggest bonus. I like to use the bone strictly for boss killing, and I like the cleave. So for me, this does not impede cleave killing things in the slightest. So for me, bone is a perfect choice as my boss killer weapon. But that being said, it really doesn't do anything other than that. So you could consider it a wasted weapon slot, where arrow can do things for you. Again, with the arrow and bone, when you max range them, or when you max range bone and arrow right off the bat, experience will be dropping further away. So that is something to note, that you will be having to pick up things much further away. Now getting to the Shadow Shuriken, its inability to aim easily is quite the hindrance. But once it's going, you do get the line, and you can sort of just force your way to hit the targets that you want, assuming they are on that side of the screen. It's a plus and a minus. Again, not having to turn around and hit something behind you, that's fantastic. It is the only weapon of these that can hit behind you. Although the arrow, you can just quickly turn around and it will hit behind you. So take that as you will. The shurikens currently fire slower, at a slower rate of speed than both the arrow and the bone. That is a consideration. However, at the same time, it has been noted that the arrow speed will be fixed at some point. I don't know how slow it will go. If it goes to 0.05, then it will definitely still be faster than the shuriken. If it goes to 0.1, they'll be approximately the same. And the same thing with the bone. I'm assuming that will get an overhaul at some point. But for now, the shuriken is the slowest to fire, but it does have the greatest critical strike chance, getting to 100% in the least amount of levels necessary. Speaking of levels, between all three, the bone and the arrow technically only need levels in cooldown reduction. With enough cooldown, even their base stats are pretty much good enough to kill a boss very quickly. The upgrades only speed it up. You don't need to max out its crit rate or its damage just to do anything. Whereas with the shurikens, you need cooldown reduction. You need, just like the others, but you also need quantity. Quantity is a huge important factor. And thankfully, its crit is so high, crit isn't that much of an investment, but it's nice to have. You are getting more bang for your buck with the crit and damage of this than the damage and crit of the others, even though the damage is +3. You can only get this to about 53% crit and around 68 for the arrow. So the crit rate at 10 is less than the crit rate at 6, which is what you would need to get to. Or 7, again, without Mandrake to put it over 100%. 98% probably good enough, though. So for me, I will still be taking bone in most of my runs, unless I am doing an arrow-focused run, or another character. Other characters other than Vivian, having the arrow is perfectly fine, because who cares if it messes with cleave killing things? All you care about is killing things in general, so kill it with whatever you want. Same thing, Spear. If you're on Vivian with Spear, you want Spear to get the kills. If you're on Conrad with the Spear, who cares what's getting the kills? You just want to survive. So take that as you will. For Vivian, again, my suggestion is Bone Shot, so you do not interfere with whatever your primary weapon is. On anybody else, I would say Bone or Arrow, and Shuriken is just a fun one to play with from time to time. So thank you very much for joining me on this adventure. It was definitely difficult. I'm glad I got it done, and have a wonderful day.